A very good evening, everybody at Not Just Crew, and a very warm welcome to everybody, but especially to a certain young gentleman who is just below me. If I just have a look down, I do believe we have Captain Chris Paul on board this evening's flight on Not Just Crew. Welcome, Chris.
G'day, Simon. G'day, Trevor. How you doing? Great to see you guys. You're doing a fantastic job. And here's a bit of Monday motivation.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. This is what we need. This is what we need on a Monday.
And obviously, alongside myself, we've got the ever handsome Trevor Jenkins. Oh. Say hello, Trevor.
Getting better all the time.
Yeah, I'm not going to use the word sidekick. He does not like that whatsoever.
No, psycho more like that. No.
Yeah. So, Chris, whereabouts are you broadcasting from on this evening's show?
I'm in wonderful Lagos, Nigeria. I'm in a bar now. I hope the background noise isn't too bad here. But I'm here on a trip. I don't normally dress up in my uniform when I go down to the bar in the evening, but I'm doing it especially for you guys so that you know that I'm actually Captain Chris and I'm the real deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember seeing you, obviously, many times down route without your uniform on. You were clothed, obviously, but
okay.
you do like to partake in a beer or two, which is something that me and Trev enjoy doing. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, listen, all of our members
it's all
probably
part of being
know
crew,
you.
Isn't it? We're all the same people. We go down route.
Absolutely. See, a lot of our members know you from probably flying with you.
Yeah.
I mean, before we start, let's go on to a brief history, because I was reading your bio this morning and it's absolutely unbelievable. From when you were little Chris, I want to kind of get a feel for little Chris. Careful. I want to know what Chris was interested in as a young boy, right? What led you into the world of aviation? Tell us about your start on this phenomenal journey that's led you to this point, talking to me and Trevor.
Simon, the first thing I must say is we all know as crew, how do you know when there's a pilot at your party? He'll tell you. And so, pilots have no. Have you ever met a pilot who didn't know how to talk about himself and loved talking about himself? It's pilots world around. You know who they're like. They're the one in the bar telling all their stories, and they never ask about you, do they? So you've just asked me the perfect question. Talk about yourself.
It was Home Depot or something. It was always about Home Depot, what the latest gadget they bought. Crazy.
Yeah. So when somebody says to a pilot, "Can you tell me about yourself?" I mean, how long you got the podcast for? How long you can record for? So answer your question. So I was a young kid, like many other kids. You going?
No, you're there. You're still there. You're just on the big screen.
Okay, great. So how does it start? So I have nobody in my family that's in aviation. I remember vividly as a 12-year-old boy, it was the first time I ever went on board an aeroplane. I don't come from a wealthy family. My dad saved up to take us on a family holiday from Melbourne to the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. We went on a Trans-Australian Airlines 727. I was 12 years old, as I said. And as we went up the steps, I didn't have air bridges in those days. As we went up the steps, my father pushed me in front of me. I was the eldest of 4 children. And he pushed me towards one of the cabin crew and said, "My son, Christopher, would like to sit in the flight deck." Right? I didn't know what the flight deck was, or the cockpit, right? So this girl said, "Yeah, sure, I'll ask the captain." Next thing I know, I'm sitting in the cockpit of a 727. There's a flight engineer sitting next to me who strapped me in the seat. The pilots were busy. They looked around at me and said, "Oh, hi, enjoy your time." And the most amazing memory was barreling down that runway at Melbourne's Tullamarine Airport. And as we rotated into the sky, I was completely mesmerized by the experience. And I just didn't know what was going on. It was just like better than anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And once they'd cleaned up, the aircraft and they'd done all their checks, they turned around and all 3 of them looked at me. And that's quite unnerving when you're a 12-year-old boy and there's these 3 men just looking at you. And they said, "So what do you think of that?" And I went, and that was my reaction. The camera hasn't frozen. I just had open mouth. And I said to them, "Wow." And I said, "Is this your job?" And they all laughed at me. And they went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Is this your job? Do you do this for work?" And they went, "Yeah, we're pilots." And I went, "Can I do this?" And it was the same response that I give to young kids. I said, "Yeah, if you work hard at school, you listen to your mum and dad, you be a good boy, you can do whatever you want to do in life." And from that moment on, I can't remember the family holiday at all. All I remember is that moment being in that cockpit with those pilots and thinking, wow, I really want to do this. And then I spent the next, from 12 to 18 saving money. So I was that odd kid that had 2 paper rounds after school, 1 paper round before school. I sold papers in the pub. I worked on weekends pushing trolleys at the local Safeway supermarket. I worked in the dairy case. My dad was a builder, so I worked on building sites on school holidays, public holidays, and I just earned money. And by the time I was 18, I'd actually saved, I remember the figure, $15,000, which is the equivalent to 30,000 pounds, 30,000 pounds.
Wow.
So I'd saved that up out of my own, savings, and I just started doing flying lessons, and I paid my way through aviation. So, it's just proof that anybody can do it. I'm the Aussie bush pilot from Australia who's now become an international airline pilot and now Instagram celebrity through just working hard. It's just hard work gets you there, and being positive as well. And that's what you guys are doing.
How many years now then, Chris? How many years now have you actually been a pilot in total? How many years?
Right, so I'm 50. Right, so I started flying when I was 18. I turned 58 later this year, so that'll be 40 years in October. 40 years I've been flying in October, so 39 years so far. 24,500 flying hours, that's over 1,000 total days airborne.
Right, listen.
That's a lot, isn't it?
We know,
well, I don't look that old,
myself and Trevor, we know how hard it is flying, right? All the physiology sides of things, right? How are you able to keep your energy levels right up there at the moment? You've still got a clear and obvious passion for flying right from then till now. How do you keep your energy levels up?
I don't know. I think maybe I'm lucky. I work on a different theme to other people. The first thing I'd say to people, I don't wear a watch. I've never worn a watch, so I don't know what time it is. You ask me what time it is. I've never been late for things, but I don't wear a watch. So I get up when I'm awake. I eat when I'm hungry. I drink when I'm thirsty. I sleep when I'm tired. And I think I've got a natural way of dealing with jet lag by the fact that I just go with the flow. I just sleep, eat, drink. I can stay awake for long periods of time. I've never slept on an airplane. My colleagues, they'll have a little nap every now and then, but I just stay awake. I'm old school. I think, well, I can do it. I get paid to stay awake. I'll stay awake. So I think I'm very lucky, actually, Simon. I think I'm just very lucky indeed, because I know that other people have struggled with it. And I know, especially like you guys in the cabin, you are physically tired. I'm just mentally tired in the flight deck. I get up and go for walks and things like that. I wear DVT socks. I've been wearing them since I was 40. They help as well, the physiology side of things. I make sure I drink plenty of water. And so B12, there's a secret for anybody over 50. B12 tablet. I take 5,000 milligrams of B12 every day. That helps. And during lockdown last year, I took up running. I've never been a runner, and I took up running, and I lost 2 stone, and that made me feel fantastic. So, and that's, we were talking about this before we started recording. The thing that running gives you, or any sort of exercise, is that positivity, Simon. And you need positivity, especially during a pandemic. And also bouncing off people like you. Just speaking to you now, you guys now, makes me feel positive. Try and shut negativity out of your life. If you're not getting on with somebody, and it even might be a family member, shut them out. They'll come back when they're positive.
I can echo those sentiments. Absolutely. This is exactly the kind of mindset that I've had for the majority of my life. And anything of a negative influence has to be put to one side. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't want it. It just served me no good whatsoever, because if I'm around anything like that, it's just no good for Costello's brain whatsoever. It's I just need to be around positive people, good energy, decent people who do good things for people, because that makes me want to do more for other people. And it's just I prefer to be that way, and it's healthier for me to be that way. I drink, I like a glass of wine, I like a beer. Shoot me. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It's but I'm still happy on it. It doesn't affect us.
I must admit, as I say, I must admit, negative people, that they do drain energy. There's a saying that used to be, a problem shared is a problem halved. But there's also a saying, a friend in need is a pest indeed. Have you ever heard that?
Absolutely. I'm hearing it again. And you want to help them. And I've had one today. I've had somebody text me today, and they get into this texting message, and they're negative, and they just start bringing you down. You say, mate, I can't get into this. I really can't. I'm on your side. I hear what you're saying, but I can't go down that road. You've just got to snap out of it. You just, they'll drag you under. And I was going to say lucky. I'm very unlucky that my 20-year-old son has suffered from anxiety and depression since he was 15, and he sees doctors and he takes some medication for that. and I feel the responsibility as a dad to always be positive with him as well. So I will be out of the world positive for my son just to try and build him up, because he does get depressed quite easily. So yeah, I have a responsibility, and that's what helps me as well to stay positive, by having that responsibility towards my son.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a daughter, exactly the same, 20. She suffers from anxiety and depression. She's been on medication since she was about 15, 16.
Yeah,
but
same
like,
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like obviously with the mother anymore. That's like another lifetime ago. But like whenever I speak to Holly, all I can do as a father is just to breathe positivity in her, try and make her smile, just explain to her, I'm always here for you. There's always a solution. There's always a solution. You know, like we'll get it through together. And to talk, just to absolutely talk to me. Don't ever bottle anything up. She knows that I've struggled in the past. So we have this great relationship where we can talk to each other and just get everything out on the table, because and then it works for her. It works for her because it just eradicates any negativity and puts it back on track. It's a slow process. It's not an overnight thing. You know.
No. This has been years. I'm dealing with the exact same thing as you, Simon.
Yeah.
And I think,
I mean, like, look.
I think the people in your daughter's age group, my son's age group, that early 20s age group, that is probably the worst affected by the pandemic right now. Because people that age, what were you doing when you were 20? You were out having fun, meeting people, going to the pub. They can't do any of that. They can't even meet up. And that's really bad for them, especially for their mental health. I mean, we can get by, but for people that age, they're really struggling. That university age, you know, starting your first job age, it's just so difficult.
And I totally agree. I mean, Chris, I've got 3 daughters within that age group, and one of which, you know, she's just turned 19. She's still never been to a nightclub, because when it starts, she had her 18th birthday, which is a big thing in the UK and sort of around the sort of globe. So, but she spent that in lockdown, and we had to celebrate her party with her family, which you don't always necessarily want to do. You want to enjoy part of it with your family, but not all of it. And so, a 21-year-old in lockdown, and a 17-year-old as well. And when they're all feeling like that, I'll tell you what, my household is not always the bundle of fun that it should be. But, it is this generation. I do feel really sorry for him. I mean, in a different way. See, you got to think my father's generation my father was in the Blitz in London, you know. So, I don't think that generation ever went through the same anxiety as they are now. So I don't know. What do you think the difference is that in, and why do you think this generation's particularly affected?
I think because we, I've said this before, and you're of this age that you've got the children. We tend to molly coddle our kids a little bit, you know, not as much as our parents weren't able to do that, but we're able to look after our kids in a different way. And the media has brought all these problems that we keep our kids close to us, and more so than our parents did with us. I mean, your kids didn't go out playing in the streets all night when it was dark, whereas our parents would chuck us out there and said, well, come home when the streets lights are on. That was about it. They never checked on. There was no such thing as pedophiles. There was no such thing as, you know, those words didn't exist. We just played in the street all day. And we haven't done that with our children. And so they're a little bit more protected. And now the government's saying you cannot go out. That's really hard for them.
Yeah. And they do sort of really rely on their peer groups. They do really rely on their peer groups. But at the same time, they have one thing we didn't have, which is like social media and smartphones. You know, if you wanted to block somebody when I was growing up, you'd leave the phone off the hook. That's the only way you could sort of block anyone then. Whereas now they have, how can I put it? They have got everything, but they haven't at the same time. I would love my kids to have the same experience that I had in the early 70s. You know, we literally just used to tell my mum, "Oh, we're going camping tonight. Grab a couple of sleep." We didn't bother taking a tent, a sleeping bag, and a cooking stove, and that was it. So no, that's a real shame. And the reason it sort of affects the airline. Sorry, so I know you want to jump. The reason it affects the airline is so many of our crew are young as well, and being on board, you feel like you have to look after them more. Again, without trying to sort of mollycoddle them as well. It's sad. Yeah, sorry, sir.
The thing is, I mean, the thing with social media, it's good and bad. If you can use social media for all, we're talking about positivity again. If you can use social media for all the positive aspects that it can deliver, social media is unbelievable. It's just
magic.
It's a great way to put something out there that might be so small in your world, but a great experience for the whole world to see. Whereas, like, you used to rely on your neighbours or your friends years ago, it just goes out there. So all good stuff. And if you want information, if you want to speak to somebody, this is I find it invaluable. Social media. I've talked to my friends in Delhi. I can talk to my friends in Australia. I can find out what's going on in America. I can just get in touch with somebody at the drop of the hat. Anything I need for my use is there. I don't need to be like, absolutely. I've got to, you can send text messages. It's so amazing. So you use it for all the right reasons. It is just such a genius bit of kit, and that which leads me on to how you've used social media, Chris, Captain Chris. It is unbelievable. I mean, I remember probably about 6-7 months ago, Judith Hall, who works for Virgin still, and she was telling us, have you seen Captain Chris's stuff and all that? And I'm like, no, I don't know what's going on. I'm not really used to Instagram whatsoever. It was Facebook, and I think that was it, really. Facebook, Instagram, didn't have a clue. And then I started looking at some of your posts, and I'm thinking, how does this guy nail his clips, his reels, the camera work? How do you actually do it? Tell me how Instagram all started in for you.
Right. So I've got a 20-year-old son. I've also got a 18-year-old daughter. She was 16 or 17 years of age, and she was walking through the house one day playing with her phone, as teenagers do. They just like click, 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 click. She was talking to her mum, listening to me. Young girls, they can do all these things really easily. And I said, what are you doing? What are you fidgeting with your phone for? And she said, oh, I'm on the gram. And I went, huh? She said, I'm on the gram. And I went, what's the gram? This is like only 18 months ago. And I went, the gram. She went, Instagram. And I went, oh, is that like Facebook? She goes, no, Facebook is for old people. And I went, oh, right, okay. She said, no, Instagram, that's where it's all happening. And I said, give us a look at this Instagram. And she showed me, and it was pictures of girls in fashion and handbags and shoes. I went, well, that's no interest to me. And she said, no, it's lots of things. I went, what do you mean? She said, look, I'll type in Airbus. And up came a picture of an A350. I went, oh, wow, that's cool. I said, type in Virgin A350. Oh, we don't have one yet. Type in this, Virgin Atlantic. And I started seeing these pictures and went, wow, I could just put some pictures in the cockpit because I don't see many of them. So I started putting some pictures in the cockpit, and that's how it all started. And then when we bought our, when Virgin Atlantic got their first A350 1000, I was part of the training team. I went out to Cathay Pacific to get some practice flying Cathay Pacific's A350. And then when I came back, we set up the simulator at CAE in Crawley. And then when we got our first A350 from Airbus, I was one of the 8 captains who went up to Glasgow when we flew it around Glasgow to get used to the airplane, to familiarize yourself with it, and also train other pilots onto the A350. And while I was up there, I noticed there was a lot of plane spotters out by the fences, and they were taking photos of the aircraft from the outside. And I thought, oh, I'll share some photos from the inside. So it was this inside-outside thing with these plane spotters. And like you said, I just started connecting through social media with these plane spotters. And then one day I went for a run around the airport, and I met a few of them. And I said, oh, look, I'm Captain Chris. I was the guy that took oh, wow, you're Captain Chris. Wow, fantastic. I said, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we're going to do this, and we're going to take off. We're going to do this. We're going to do this approach from there. We're going to do that approach from there. And I said, look, give us your phone number, and I'll text you when we're on the approach. And they went, you'll do that? Why not? And you can get some really good shots then. And we just started this relationship to the point where I met one of the plane spotters, a young boy who wanted to become a pilot himself. And short story is basically I arranged through Virgin's social media team for him to come down to London and fly the A350 simulator with me, which was a massive big boost to his ego. It was great for his future, and it also motivated and inspired a lot of other people who wanted to do the same thing. So some really good things have come out of Instagram, and that's when I had like 1,200 followers. It was only when I got to about the COVID situation that I was like you guys. I was out of work. I was sitting at home, and I'm thinking, what can I do with Instagram to help? Because I was sitting at home. I actually live in Southwest France. I couldn't actually physically get to London. So I thought, what can I do? And it was my son who came up with the idea. He said, why don't you hold up a sign saying, I'm out of work and help me? And I went, how? And he said, well, you know how people are buying toilet paper? Imagine if people bought airline tickets like they bought toilet paper. Airline tickets like they bought toilet paper. Yeah. Okay, let's write this. So we wrote it out on a big piece of cardboard. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to get a nice shot, but you could see background trees. So he said, I stood on his skateboard ramp, leaning forward, holding the sign forward. I was in the pilot's uniform. It was about 30 degrees Celsius. So I actually had a pair of shorts on, leaning forward, and he took the sign. So you can see this big bright blue sky, the sign, and a mate of his threw toilet paper up while he took the photo, and we got that amazing photo. That sent a really good message. It was a bit of a fun message, but it was a really serious message, because this was like May 2020, and it was like, here's a pilot who's sitting on the ground holding up a cardboard sign like somebody unemployed, saying, buy airline tickets like you bought toilet paper, to promote aviation, to get us back flying, to get us back in the skies. And by you buying an airline ticket, that's putting trust in aviation, so that all of me and my employees can come back and fly you to where you want to go. And nobody at that time had any idea that we'd be a year later still in a similar situation. But at the time, it really worked, and it resonated around the world. And I had contacts through CNN and Fox News and Australian news networks and everybody around the world. And my Instagram went instantly from, I think, we're up 1,200 followers to 12,000. And that's when some of the other media people contacted me. I had magazine articles written about me and things like that. And that's where the people ask, where'd the blue tick come from? Apparently, if you have news media or print media, that's when you get the blue tick. It's a verification thing. Because people say, how do you get that blue tick? Yeah, you have to be verified. And to be verified, you need to be, basically, if Instagram go online and type in Captain Chris, they'll find lots and lots of media references to Captain Chris. So if you guys want to get a blue tick, you need to have media coverage, like print media and other types of media. So I didn't know that, but that's how it came about. And then it's just grown and grown. And I've stuck to, I remember Shai Weiss, the CEO of Virgin Atlantic, when things were pretty dark days last July, and it looked like Virgin could go under. You remember those days, and we were just kept going to work. We just kept going to work. We kept flying. And Shai said, "Okay, we need to put a plan together." So the plan is, strategy number one is profitability. Right? Sorry, I got this wrong. Number one was survivability. That's the most important. Let's just survive. Number one, we need to survive. But to survive, number two is profitability. We need to get some money coming in. If we're flying airplanes empty, which we were going to go out of business very, very quickly. So how do we do that? And that's where the cargo department in Virgin Atlantic did a fantastic job of getting cargo on board airplanes. And that's what saved us, the cargo department. So survivability was number one. And the survivability was tough. And we talked about this off air beforehand. Survivability was guys like yourself and a lot of my colleagues being told, right, what do you fly? You fly an A340 or a 747? We can't get you flying at the moment because we're going to ground those airplanes. What do you fly, a 330? You're grounded as well. Chris, what do you fly? I fly a 350. Right, we need you. We need you flying. 787 pilots and 350 pilots, they all kept flying. And remember, I'm talking about, again, May 2020. When that happened, you, I, and every other person on the planet thought, this will only be a couple of months. We'll be through this. And when summer comes, we'll be through this. So it was a really short-term measure to help the aircraft survive, help the airline survive. But then June came along, and then July, and then August, and it just seemed to be getting worse and worse. And it was at that stage, like I said, going back to my Instagram, I thought, right, how can I use Instagram to use those three principles of Shai? So the first one, survivability. So I started posting pictures of showing that we were surviving, because people thought Virgin was bust. Virgin was going to collapse and all this sort of thing. There was all this negative press about Virgin. And I was on Instagram every day saying, no, I'm flying to LA today with an airplane full of cargo. I'm flying to New York today with an airplane full of cargo. And we've got some passengers as well. And I just kept posting that we are still flying. Airplanes are still flying. And people went, wow, Virgin is still flying. And profitability. So profitability, I was still saying, okay, you can buy tickets. You can still buy tickets. You can still fly to America. You can still fly here. And people were actually buying airline tickets. So the airline tickets like you bought toilet paper really, really worked. I've spoken to some marketing and media experts, and apparently the Captain Chris brand, not me, has sold over £3 million worth of tickets. So I'm really proud of that. And that's a really good thing. So it created wealth, and it created, and the thing that made me feel the best was number three was what Shai Weiss said. So it was survivability, profitability, and love, right? And I know it sounds very Virgin, love, but love is, loving the people that work for you, loving your customers, and loving everybody to get this thing working again. And it comes back to what we said earlier about positivity. Positivity is love, right? So how can I give love through my Instagram? And that was through being positive and promoting people like yourselves by saying, hey guys, I know you're sitting on the ground, and all my colleagues that were grounded, and they felt really bitter. They were like, why me? Why me? Why me? And it wasn't personal. There was nowhere in this situation that Virgin Atlantic says, we don't like Trevor and Simon, so you're out of a job. No, it was bums on seats. It was cargo on the airplane. It was like, get these airplanes flying, and let's just keep surviving for as long as we can. And here we are on the other end of it by promoting, buy airline tickets like you bought toilet paper, by promoting Virgin Atlantic so that we're still flying, and by putting positive. I put a post up today about the positivity of getting people back into the cockpit. It's working from my end, that we're now seeing a recovery in the industry. We're seeing pilots coming back. We're seeing cabin crew being offered jobs back. And like I said, you know, people were made redundant, but it wasn't personal. It was like, you know, survivability. And that was what it was. And so we have survived, you know, we have survived, and things are coming back. We just need the Atlantic to open and we'll all be back flying again. And anybody who was previously flying at Virgin Atlantic, they will be offered their jobs back. And Shai Weiss has made this promise. He's made that promise, and we are seeing people coming back. There's my rant.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I can totally agree with that. Because I mean, I was in Lagos about 2-3 weeks ago, just having my check flight just to keep me in check, and very nice it was too. But yeah, there were scary times, and I think one of the reasons we set up Not Just Crew is that we could have just you know, living in despair, but we decided to sort of set up a group, start with 37 people, watch it, sort of worried crew. But we were trying to put the message across. Look, the airlines are just trying to survive. Like you said, it's not personal. And we try to bring in ex-crew to give positives, and even one of our presenters now, Paul Tizard. And the first thing he said about redundancy, it's not you. The position has gone. The position has been made redundant. Correct. You haven't been made redundant.
Not you.
And so yeah, we try to help in every way we can. One of the first people we interviewed was the dear old Simon, who'd left flying a couple of years before that, and was on the front line of the COVID. So we went to chat to him about what the situation was really like, and he's still here.
It hasn't affected me, Chris.
It hasn't affected you.
It hasn't affected me whatsoever.
But it's been good. But no, we've been watching you for a long time. I mean, another presenter on Not Just Crew, Tara, she showed us one of your. She might have even helped you film it, actually, going along the aisle, and it was absolutely brilliant. So you know, we've enjoyed.
Oh, that was the one sticking with trends. The Fleetwood Mac Dreams one. Yeah,
that's it.
I'm just trying to keep it relevant, and you've got to be out there. You've got to be keeping with trends to make it relevant, and also to get the younger viewers in as well. You know, because everybody's important. You know, most of my my demographic is bizarre. I'm a 57-year-old man, but most people who follow me are between 25 and 35.
Yeah, because it's cool. The footage that you give and offer is cool. It's unbelievable. That's exactly what my mindset's like. Because I'm fast approaching 50. I'm not quite at your levels yet, Mr. Paul, but the footage that you've got, it's so cool. I mean, the Airbus looks amazing anyway. The Airbus is such a cool aircraft.
Yes, it's a beautiful
aircraft.
I've
never seen an engine as big. I was in the 747 engine last week. The A350 one's huge. It's bloody huge. When that picture of you stood next to it, I need to get in that engine. It's just like, I felt like in the 747 one, I'm like touching, my head's nearly touching the top. But that A350 one, it is just huge.
Yeah. It's the same diameter as a 737 fuselage or an A320 fuselage. It's huge, isn't it?
Wow, yeah.
Absolutely enormous. No,
but like,
when you talk about the things that the demographic and people call it, it's so funny because
Go on.
No, saying about being cool and that is that my kids were the two that helped me start off in Instagram, and now they see me with 130,000 followers, and they just go, right, it's just like, and they just nod their head, and all their friends go, "Oh, is Captain Chris your dad?" And they go, "Yeah." and my daughter keeps saying to me, "Don't you dare ever tag me on anything." I said, "Oh, don't worry."
Oh, no.
Do you solely just do all of those on your own, Chris?
Yes, I do get some help, or I did get some help at the start with my son, but he's now got to the point where he goes, "Yeah, just do it yourself. You know what you're doing." Yeah.
And does it take you long? Because that would take me or Trev. Firstly, I don't think we've got the imagination to complete that mission. But that would, if we did, it would take us a week, wouldn't it, Trevor? It would take us like forever. I bet it just takes you like half an hour, does it?
Here's the thing: I didn't even know this, but my daughter looked on my iPad the other day. I do most of my reels and things like that on my iPad because you know, it's just a bigger screen to look at. And she looked at my the screen time for Instagram. Here's an interesting one. I spend on average 24 hours a week on Instagram. That's a whole day on Instagram. So there you go. If you want to, Yeah, I didn't even realize. So it obviously consumes a lot of my time. And obviously I do it when I've got spare time. And it's like it's a job to me. It's a job that I don't get paid for, but I do get paid for it because it's immense satisfaction. And you asked the question, what keeps you positive? What keeps me positive is the feedback from people like yourself and everybody on Instagram that I only ever get positive feedback, and it's really, really nice. And so that's my payback is the feedback. And also I know I'm doing a good thing. I'm getting people back in the skies.
And do your children act responsibly and try and restrict your screen time?
No.
Listen, Chris, just look at all, like, there's 130,000 people follow you, right? Just imagine, I'd love to know figure-wise how many young female, male pilots, anybody really out there who's seen your posts, right, and just went, you know what, I'd love to do that. There's got to be thousands. It's got to be thousands. It's inspired a whole new generation to get into aviation. You know, it doesn't have to be a pilot. Could be cabin crew as well. Could be anything to do with the travel industry. They see your reels, they see what you deliver, and it's like, I want a bit of that, like.
And do you know what, Simon? It goes back to the first question you asked me is how did I get started? So I was that young boy in the cockpit of a 727. I'm now that old captain turning around to the young boy and saying, what do you think of that? I'm doing that on Instagram.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. You're giving it back. All the things that got you started, you're giving it back. And this is the power of social media. Social media didn't exist there. People had to experience what they can do now. You've got 130,000 people able to see what you're doing. And it's just amazing. Because what we want to do as well, we want to get as many people, like, I mean, my daughters, and so does Trev's, they want to be cabin crew. They want to get into travel. There's so many people out there. And we want to get them involved, whether it be flying the plane, serving in the plane, working in the clubhouse, working on the ground staff. We want to encourage aviation. We want to get people, you know, because it's like you say, the last 18 months has been absolutely horrific. We've had people come to our group and they've had nowhere to turn. They've been jobless. They feel like they've just been cast aside. I totally get those feelings. I can understand it. I put myself in that situation, right? Doing a job that I love so much, all of a sudden said, listen, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to let you go. And the way people were told, the company couldn't do anything about it. It wasn't ideal, but like, you know, to have those feelings, and I can put myself in that situation, and we've kind of we've been lucky enough, me and Trev, to help people and get them back on the feet, to realize the true potential, just to say, listen, all of these amazing things that you learn from being cabin crew, from Virgin, BA, Ryanair, EasyJet, I don't care which airline you work for, all of these fantastic skills you've obtained, experiences, are priceless. They're invaluable, and you could turn to any profession out there and transfer those skills, and you'd be awesome at that job as well. And that's kind of how we've got people back on track. And people have been doing that. Yeah. Cabin crew skills are amazing skills, and it's really interesting that you say that, because I think the personal skills that you get from being cabin crew is just the best you can get in any environment, because you're dealing with people not just from your own country. You're dealing with people from all over the world, from all walks of life, all different ages, all different backgrounds, and you deal with them, and not only just person to person, you're looking after their health and their safety, and it's just a really responsible job. And a lot of cabin crew don't realize how amazing those skills are, and it's like people like yourself that then help them and say, hey, you could do this, you could do that, and they get jobs. And again, you're getting what I'm getting. You're getting the satisfaction of seeing them come to you with like, I'm useless, I can't do anything, I've lost my job, I can't, and boom, they're in jobs, and you get that satisfaction back when you hear that somebody's got a great job doing something they'd never thought of doing before. And that's fantastic. Well done.
And this is what we found with a lot of it. Half the crew didn't realize they already had skills that other companies wanted. We've had examples where they've just been cabin crew, that they've just been cabin crew, and they've got into a job, and within a month or so, they've been made a manager, because they could literally either work on their own, work as a team, and just get on with the task at hand, and to think very quickly. And so many of them realised that they didn't have. They thought they didn't have those skills, but they already had them without knowing. So it was it was nice to be able to help them and give each other encouragement, not just by us, but I mean, if a crew member put a post up, someone back me on this, the interaction within our group was massive. People from BA helping people from Virgin, from sort of Ryanair to EasyJet, and it was absolutely, honestly, it was amazing, wasn't it, Simon? I say it was.
It used to make the hairs stand up on end all over your body, everywhere. It was just such a wonderful feeling. My auntie years ago, like she always said, like she's no longer with us now, but be selfless. She said 2 words. She said, "Just be selfless," and that phrase has stuck with me. And it really resonates. It's kind of thing. It's like, because it's such a good feeling to give, even if you don't get anything in return. It's just such a good feeling. Like you think you're doing the right thing, and that's your intentions. That's where it's coming from, just to try and help out. It's just such a good feeling. Like,
giving is always the best feeling.
Yeah, I agree.
And when you've got life experiences, you can give and you can give and you can keep giving, because you've got your life sorted out, and you can give it back to other people. And you guys are giving back to other people, and that's an amazing thing you're doing.
Exactly, Chris. And it's not just like in careers; it's in like life experiences as well. It's like on so many levels. Like we've got experience, like with if you're suffering from anxiety, mental health problems, anything, like just relationships. You can only offer your like experiences and your advice. It's just, I know that just your opinions, what you went through, but people appreciate it, because it just gives them an insight of what they haven't experienced before, and this is where, like,
and you're speaking from experience.
And
the thing is, you're speaking from experience. I get so many young pilots who contact me and saying, "Oh, I don't know if I should have a career in aviation, and this is really bad," and so on. I say, "Hey, here's the facts, right? Here's some facts. 50% of the world's pilots on this planet are over 50, right? That's my age group. 50%. That's an amazing statistic. So out of that age group, a lot of them aren't coming back, right? They'll have had this time at home. They're probably financially secure. Their kids are grown up, left school, and they're thinking, do you know what? Do I really want to go back to how it is now? And it's very, very different now. Do I want to go back and learn a new airplane? If they're a 747 pilot, do I want to learn how to fly an Airbus? A lot of those sort of situations are happening right now, and we're finding that a lot of those pilots in that age group may not ever come back. So that's going to create a huge gap in the industry. So if anybody's thinking about becoming a pilot, now is definitely the right time to do it, because it's going to take you 18 months to 2 years to become qualified. And by that time, when the dust is settled, there'll be lots and lots of opportunities for young pilots. I really believe that. I've been through the industry that many times, and I've been unemployed 6 times myself, or my position has been made redundant 6 times. So I know what I'm talking about, and it does come back every time. And if you're positive and you keep forging towards your dreams, your goals, they'll happen, right? Don't give up on those dreams. I know it sounds like a cliche, but don't give up on your dreams. They will happen.
You're right.
If you keep
you've got to keep looking forward. It's no good looking behind and like just wallowing around and like in pity. There is a time for that, but you've got to dust yourself off, get your blink, move forward, and then create opportunities. This is what we tell so many people: create opportunities, put yourself out there, speak to people, open doors, knock on doors. Like, I mean,
networking.
Absolutely, that's the word.
That's what we're doing now. The 3 of us, we're networking now.
And the amount of jobs that have come up through Not Just Crew. I'm hoping we've hopefully got people, at least 700 people employed, but we've also put our money where our mouth is. I mean, I haven't been able to play golf or any of my hobbies. So Simon and I together, we've been actually taking our own money, investing into Crew, into an audio book, not by us, but we've got 2 crew, 1 a writer, 1 a voice actor, put them together, produce an audio book, which is on Audible and iTunes. We're in the process of backing a singer at the moment to produce their first single. I was in the studio with them last week.
You need to back and sing it, Chris. Do you fancy it?
Yeah, back and sing it.
I'm more of a dancer.
Men at work.
Yeah. No. So to say, we believe in crew very, very much ourselves, you know, and we've been, and it's just sort of growing and growing, and but hopefully this COVID crisis will come to an end. And as you say, I mean, I've been through SARS, Ebola. What are the other ones we had? I mean,
the credit crunch,
9/11,
the big one.
9/11, and
I've
Ash
even
Cloud.
two Gulf Wars.
Yeah. So you know, it's
but nothing's hit as hard as this pandemic. Nothing's hit as hard as this pandemic.
Nothing is hard. But again, I'm a big believer that chaos creates opportunity. Look at all the three of us here.
Right.
You know, you've started a new business. You're helping people. I will have 1 million followers. That's my goal.
Good.
Don't give up on that.
You will.
And we'll help you there, and you'll help us back, of course, Chris. Share.
Not what you know.
Exactly.
No, it's not what you know. Networking. It's not what you know. It's who you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's been a case throughout history. I think.
Be nice.
But be nice. Help everyone. Don't pull a ladder up after yourself. In fact, put it down to help people up, because you never know. When you're at the top, it's a long way down as other people are passing you on the way up.
And sometimes you don't get it repaired back, but it doesn't matter. Move on from that. If you don't get it back, it really doesn't matter. You know you've done the right thing, and then you just move on. And then like you will meet people who do appreciate the good that you do, kind of thing. That's all you do.
Yep. Just keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Right, Chris. I want to ask you something, right? Because I've working for the ambulance service. I kind of understand like where flight deck come from. Like this probably doesn't apply to you because it's not your character at all. But when obviously I used to work on board the aircraft, and I'd see the captain and the first officer, and they're both sitting in the flight deck, and it would be a bit of a struggle, It's like you've got a 12, 13, 14-hour flight, and they're not quite gelling. Like, so like when I've worked for like in the ambulance service, it's the same kind of environment as me working with somebody else for that period of time. And sometimes you haven't got anything in common. Sometimes, they don't like music, they don't like sports, they don't like socializing. All they want to do is like read a paper or something, and it doesn't matter what you come at them with, like, oh, how about this? How about that? You get nothing back. And it's so frustrating, because there's something inside of you that tries your best. It's trying to get that other person to come to the party, and you get to know that character, but sometimes they just don't give anything. Did you ever experience anything like that, or can you kind of relate to that environment? It's so hard, the pressures of pilots to have to go through that, I think.
I have obviously been through those situations, and I've learnt a way of dealing with it. And also in my position as a senior training captain, I regularly have experiences where people are not intimidated by me, but they think, well, that's Chris. He's one of the senior flying training captains, so I won't say too much to him. And I've got to break the ice with them. So now I've found that the best way to break the ice, the absolute best way to break the ice, is not with a joke. We started out with this. What's the best way to find out about a pilot is ask about himself. Right? People love talking about themselves. So I do exactly what you did to me. I'll say, "G'day, Simon. So what brings you to the cockpit today? What's your background? Where are you from?" And then you'll say, "Oh, well, I learned to fly. All right. When I was a 12-year-old boy, I went on a flight." And I'll say, "Yeah." And I'll just ask him about himself. And before you know it, he's talking freely and telling me about himself. And that's, to me, that's my best way of breaking the ice, is asking them about themselves. And very rarely people do that. People rarely interview the person they want to get on with, right? Interview them. Ask them about themselves. Where are they from? Where they grew up? What street they do? What sports they like? Do you have brothers and sisters? What do they do? Where are they in the world? How's that going? And before you know it, a conversation starts up, and you'll find some common ground. And especially if you're in cabin crew or pilots, all three of us have some common ground. We can find something to talk about, and we never run out of things to talk about when we're down route, do we?
That's right.
So, okay.
Yeah, so not crew. They can chat and chat for ever and eternity. Definitely.
Yeah, you guys are genius at it.
And this is why this is one of the good skills that I try and encourage a lot of our people who are in our group who transfer over to the NHS and the ambulance service. That is one of the key skills that is right up there. Being able to talk to people, because you're exactly right. Those are exactly the things that I do with who I work with, partners and patients. Like I'll be working with some crew and they don't know how to talk to a patient and then don't get much from them. But I find it really easy. I can always find that common interest. I'll be looking around the room when I'm going into an address to see something of interest. I can strike up a conversation, get them on side, and kind of have them play into your, not fiddle, you know what I mean? But just becoming your friend for the next half hour and someone they can talk to and trust. It's a skill that so many of airline crew, pilots, cabin crew, ground staff, everyone that possess. I think they're amazing. I think the travel, aviation, customer service, I think they're all just so special. I just love the positivity. I just love the fact that they want to help people out as well, and they've got a charm and an elegance about them. Most of them anyway.
Like any industry.
And the thing is, the cabin crew and airlines need to realize this: the cabin crew is the face of the airline. They are your face of your airline. Whether it's EasyJet, Ryanair, British Airways, Virgin Atlantic, you are the face of the airline. And if you've got a big smile on your face and you're happy and you're talking to people, those people are going to remember that airline as a great airline. They won't care what airplane they've flown on or what movies they watched or what the meal was like. They'll remember people that looked after them and served them and kept them safe. And they are massive, important skills. And I think airlines do realize that, and that's why they put so much effort into recruiting the right people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Right, I'll tell you what, I want to bring James is sitting quietly in the background. Now, James is a new member of our team at Not Just Crew. So we are so glad and appreciative that James is willing to help us. Now, we might look a lot younger than us three. That's because he is. But James is super talented. His mother, she used to work for Virgin Atlantic as cabin crew many years ago. Then she went off to obviously have James bring up the family. But she came back and worked in the clubhouse for a little bit. So welcome to the team, James.
Right, thanks for having me.
Right. Have you got a question for our captain, Chris? Fire away, young man.
So, when I was like 6 years ago, I really wanted to get into engineering, so maintaining the aircraft, and I never went down that route, and I went into media, which is what I'm doing now. But is it ever too late to have a career change and get into kind of or flying or engineering?
Never, no. Unless you're in your 60s, James, and that's a long way away from you. So I'll give you one example. I'll give you one example that sums it up. So I went to the dentist when I was 30 years of age. And you're going, where's this going? So I went to the dentist in Horsham, West Sussex, just a dental appointment. And the dentist who was doing my mouth saying, "Oh, I always want to be a pilot." And all us pilots hear that expression, "I always want to be a pilot." And I said, "Well, why didn't you become a pilot?" "Well, because I'm a dentist." I said, "Do you still want to pilot?" He went, "Oh, I left my run too late." I said, "How old are you?" He said, 37. So he's a 37-year-old dentist. And I said, "Do you still want to be a pilot?" He went, "Well, I've left it too late." I said, "No, do you really want to be a pilot?" He went, "Yeah." So I spent the next few months with him showing him where to go down to Bournemouth to go and get flying lessons. I helped him with introductions to the right people. And I'll say the short story. He had his license within 18 months. I knew somebody who's down in Cyprus who needed an A320 pilot. He bought himself an A320 rating, and he got a job with Eurocipria, where I was working many years ago. And right now, he's a 57-year-old Emirates A380 training captain.
Oh,
so it's never too late.
With amazing teeth.
There you go.
Wow.
No, not like mine. See? He didn't look after mine anymore. And every time I see him, I say, "Hey, could you have a look at my teeth?" And he says, he swears at me. So it's never too late. And also, James, I've got another friend who's 53 years old who has just started learning to fly. He had a successful business in the car industry. He's got a bit of money behind him, and he thought, right, I want to do it. And he's asked me, what should I do? And I said, do it, because you could retire at 65. And believe me, by the time he gets to 65, they might even say, well, as long as you can hold a medical, you can go to 70. Who knows what's going to happen? But at least he'll have a 10-year career as a pilot, and 10 years is a long time.
Yeah. If you've got passion, belief, and a determination to follow your dreams, and you really want to do that engineering or anything, be a pilot, doesn't matter what it is, go for it. Just go for it. It doesn't matter what age you are. just if you've still got the air in your lungs and the passion and the belief and the determination to do it, give it a go. Just give it a go. Because if you get to a point in your life where you're looking back and you're regretting that you never attempted or did anything, it's a regret. It's something you'll just like, you look back and go, I wish I'd done that. You know, give it a go.
I'm always, James, sorry, James, go.
Oh, whenever I'm on Virgin Atlantic flights with my mum, when we're going on holiday, I'm always like taking the most amount of time when I'm walking past the cockpit. I'll just look in and go, because I also like to play on I've got Microsoft Flight Simulator, the new one, so I'm always going. I've got an Oculus Rift, so I'm always going in there and playing with it, and I'm comparing. I'm looking at your posts and going, "Oh, that's the same." That's like, So obviously, if I could do both, I'd do both. But I want to I'll probably, once I've got like some money from my media work and going off to do kind of graphics or audio, I'll probably try and get my private pilot license in the future after that, because it is something I do like.
And then once you get the private license, you can continue on from there. If you really like the private license and you enjoy that experience, you think, hang on, can I be a commercial pilot? Well, you can do it up to 37, like my dentist friend, right? So you've got a long time between now and then. And the thing is, and as Simon just said, it's all about determination. And if anything that's really, 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 really worthwhile, it's not going to be easy. Otherwise, everybody's be doing it, right? Yeah. If you really want to achieve something, you're going to have to work for it. Nothing's given to you on a platter. You just got to work for something in life, right? And regret is one of the worst things ever, to regret that you didn't do something. So, just keep it in the back of the mind. And if you want to do it, it's going to be hard. You're going to have to work hard, but you can do it. You can do it. You're capable. Everybody's capable.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And in fact, hopefully James will be joining us when we film one of our cabin crew. She's only young herself, but she's just taken her PPL now. Hopefully James will be joining us when we film that. He can ask all the questions he needs.
It's really good because it's combining both of my passions of media and aviation. That I can help you to create media and related stuff for that, and I get to kind of help with the aviation side of things as well. So,
it's just as well you did come along, because me and Trevor rubbish.
What, flying or filming?
I'm actually looking at James now and thinking I might pinch him when I get 1 million followers.
I've got tons of time. I can do as much content as you guys need.
You heard of it.
No, Chris, he's just signed a £200,000 contract with us, so we have to wait a bit longer.
Wow, you guys are balling.
Jesus,
did I say £200,000? I meant 200,000 lira.
Rupees.
Italian lira.
Great question, James. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Right, I'm going to start tying it up a little bit now, guys, because we're into 52 minutes. And I don't want Chris's flight to be delayed going back to Blighty. I'm going to finish off with a question. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It's just going to come to me in a bolt in the blue. Right, here we go.
Here we go.
Captain Chris, give me, it's probably a tricky one, or you might already have it, one of your most memorable experiences on board any flight, excluding when you were a little boy getting thrust into the cockpit by your dad saying, "Get in there, son." What was your most memorable experience that's probably had a long-lasting effect on you?
There's many of them, but I think if I had to single it down to one, would be a 30-year-old Airbus A330 4-engine long-haul jet captain flying into Kai Tak Airport, doing the famous curved Kai Tak approach on runway 13, with my dad on the jump seat and one of my brothers sitting on another jump seat. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's amazing. Wow. What was their feedback after that? Were they just like jaws, like my dad?
Looking out the window and thinking, "This is amazing." Yeah, that's my boy flying the airplane. Yeah.
Did you wink at him on the way down? Like when you were coming down, did you give him a little wink?
I'm definitely sure I looked round at him and smiled.
Oh wow!
And he,
See, why didn't we have camera phones then?
And that was when people could come in the cockpit.
Yeah,
we regularly had people in the cockpit. I've had them all in the cockpit. Princess Diana, Elton John, Kylie Minogue sang to me once. Yeah.
Wow. Did she have a hot pants on?
Yeah, you remember those days? Everybody was in the flight deck, weren't they?
Yeah.
Did she have a hot pants on?
No, I think she did. Even famously had. Yes, she did. I even famously had Leslie Nielsen, if anybody's old enough to remember, Leslie Nielsen from Airplane, come into the flight deck on final approach into LA and say, I just want to say good luck. We're all counting on you, and shut the door again. That actually happened. That really happened. Yeah.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, but double take. Oh, that must have been amazing.
Wow.
That was amazing.
Pinch yourself moments, aren't they? They're great. That's what flying can give you. This is what the world of aviation and flying can give you. Experiences that are just like, you after they've happened, you're like, that was a bit weird. Wow.
No, but I see young people like in your part of the cabin, you see these young girls and guys at 18, 19 years of age join as cabin crew. You see them 2 or 3 years later and they're an adult. They've grown up. They've like grown up more than anybody else their age, because it's just that job gives you that experience of life. And it's an amazing way to see the world.
You're right. You're right. Right, Trevor. Fire away, young man.
Yeah. Last questions. Yeah, Chris.
Chicken or beef?
Yeah, chicken or beef. Right. Within what's your? I know your goal is to hit 1 million followers. What's your time frame for that?
Oh, that's very good. You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan.
Yeah.
Let's say 250,000 by the end of the year, and then 500,000 by the end of next year. Maybe 750 by the end of next year. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Couple of years.
Excellent.
Maybe quicker. We'll see. I've got to break America now. I've got to get into America.
You will. Well, us too. we got to break America as well.
We're still in Crawley at the moment.
They've just got to open the borders, and I'll be there more often.
Yeah.
New York opened today, which is interesting, isn't it?
Oh wow!
New York is officially open. New York City is officially open. Yeah, officially open.
Oh, brilliant
for tourists. Yeah,
brilliant.
Because they were working on July the 4th, weren't they, for getting it back up and running? Has there been any updates?
Nothing that I've heard yet, but I've heard that it will be imminent. You know, most of Europe is allowed to fly to the US, and I think there's just some political situation going on that's stopping the UK. But I think that'll be sorted out days more than weeks. I think. I mean, what do I know?
Look, we've just got to be positive. We've got to be hopeful and be positive and be ready for when it does actually happen. That's all it is. Got to be ready for when it actually happens. Right. Would you like to share anything, Captain Chris, to it's 10,300 members out there who are watching and also on the YouTube channel. Would you like to share your final thoughts with us out there?
Oh, that's a bit deep, isn't it? The main thing is it's been a tough year for everybody. It's been a tough year for everybody, and it doesn't matter who you are. You know, if you're Captain Chris, it's been tough for me, just like it's been tough for you, Trevor, and you, Simon. We've all had things in our life that haven't gone to plan. In fact, they've gone completely opposite. But if you stay positive, if you have positive people around you, and as you started when we started talking about this, if you get negativity out of your life, get negative people out of your life, just hang around with positive people, keep positive thoughts, go for a run, do some exercise, feel good about yourself, and good things will happen if you really truly believe that. And it just sounds like a platitude or a cliche, but just good things will happen if you want them to. And if you just stick around with positive people, positivity breeds positivity. So stay positive, stay upbeat, and hang around with positive people, and good things will happen. Have a goal, have a day-by-day goal. Today I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do that, tomorrow, and stick with those goals, but just stay positive and you'll get there. We'll all get there.
Well said. Well said.
Brilliant.
Well, great closing statement. Thank you so much. Thank you absolutely from the bottom of our hearts, Captain Chris. Thank you for joining us from the beautiful country of Lagos. We really appreciate your time. We really do. Honestly, we really do. We wish you all the success, the continued success of reaching your goals, which we're sure you will. Keep doing what you're doing. And Trevor, thank you so much as usual. So join us next week for another exciting episode of Not Just Crew at our usual time at 7 o'clock on Monday night. Thank you, James, for producing in the background. Welcome to the team, and we'll see you guys later.